On TVC Breakfast, it's not time for us to look at what the dailies are saying. Let's quickly breeze through the headlines and then we'll have insightful comments on them. The first with me is the Nation newspaper with the main headline, NAF boosts air power against terrorists with 9 fighter jets. 49 more aircraft come in and Badaru terrorist leaders among 13,543 killed. Next will be the Punch newspaper with the same headline, rising insecurity, federal government orders new strategy amid fresh attacks in Borno, Benue. Next will also be this Nigeria, talking about politics. The Labour Party sinks into deeper crisis, where you see Abure suspending Otti, Kingibe, Nwokocha, among others. And then Nigeria News Direct also speaks on the Labour Party crisis. Abure-Led faction suspends Otti, Kingibe, others over alleged anti-party activities, and Osman-led faction summons Abure over alleged corruption, fund mismanagement, among others. The Guardian newspaper speaks on tax reform, which advances as Senate debates clauses, retains VAT at 7.5%. Blueprint speaks also on tax reform, with EVC to head Nigeria Revenue Service as Senate passes 2 bills. Place of consumption replaces derivation in VAT sharing formula. Platform Times sees it differently, speaking on the salt is good thingy. Federal government slamming Pastor Oyakilome over salt is good sermon, warns Nigerians of deadly health risks. And the last on for review today will be Sport and Life. It's PSG versus Inter, talking about Champions League, beat Arsenal 2-1, 3-1 aggregate, and then to play Inter May 31st in Germany. Let's quickly look at what the papers, let's dive into them. The Nation newspaper, talks about insecurity. Tom, I'd like to start with you. Veronica, Olamide, you guys are welcome, into this conversation. Nigerian Air Force saying that they have to boost air power against terrorists with 9 fighter jets, and we also have the Senate calling for national summit. So some are saying that it's not about national summit, it's all about re-strategizing. But here we are, we're also talking about insecurity, especially with the fresh attacks in Borno and Benue, as you would see on the front page of the Punch as well.
It is always a topic of concern when it comes to the spate of killings in Nigeria. The insecurity is just too much. It's affecting too many things, especially agriculture. Especially agriculture. It really bothers me when I think of how many people can't access their farms and how that is affecting food prices in Nigeria. That's right. Because of insecurity. For the Air Force announcing that, look, we are bringing 9 more planes, I think that information shouldn't have been announced because these guys are not telling us what they have in their armaments. The other day they attacked Giwa barracks in Borno State, and the audacity to go into an army barracks and cause mayhem. But that's because, man, they are sure of what they have, and they did not publish it. They did not tell anybody. I think strategies for fighting terrorism shouldn't be on the pages of newspapers. It should be something that circulates within the security architecture in Nigeria. Right. That way, with that and real intelligence gathering, they will make a lot of inroads. I also saw the army saying that in 2 years they've killed 13,000 terrorists, and you're making that announcement today, and these guys are attacking Borno State that same day. We announce things that should be covert.
That's right.
When Veronica, it comes to security.
These guys, seem to be Hydra-headed. They don't want to die. We just want to kill them, but they say, no, listen, we're not going to die because they have access to, sophisticated weapons. But if you ask the Nigerian army, they'll tell you that, yes, we have more, high-powered weapons, more than they do, but we are not seeing it exactly the way it is.
Well, we are not on the war front, so we may not necessarily understand what weapons, the cache of weapons they say they have. But if they say they have it, I believe they have it. But if they know we need more, then it means that when we compare notes in terms of what these persons are using to achieve what they're achieving across the country, and we compare with what the Nigerian army are using and the kinds of results they are getting, it begs the question of, are we really certain that we have the kinds of weapon and we can overpower them with the results the kind of results they are getting? So it's important that we strategize, no matter the level of weapons we say we have. If we are not getting the results we need, where farmers can go to the farms, people can carry out the activities across the country, Nigerians can sleep with their two eyes closed, then it begs the question, what is your strategy? What are you really doing with the weapons you claim you have? Is it that you do not know how to use it? Do you need help with training and capacity building? Is that the problem we need? Are we using these weapons to gather the necessary intelligence so that we can tactically deal with these persons and get the result Nigeria needs? I mean, look at the number of out-of-school children from the north. A majority of persons cannot send their children to school because of this matter of insecurity. And then you still keep asking this question, what is the problem? You say we have these weapons, why are we not using it? Now you say we are buying more weapons. Why do you have to tell us? Bring it, let us see that it has arrived at least. Let Nigerians trust that you are actually doing the talk or walking the talk. Because often the time we hear them say that, oh, we are buying, we are bringing in this. And when we wait, we do not hear when they arrive. So Nigerians now wonder what really is happening.
That's right. So there is this fight between culture and strategy, and they will say, culture will always have strategy for breakfast.
Absolutely.
So we need to know what exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I definitely think that the Minister of Defense saying what we need right now is not a national security summit, but a strategy. He's putting emphasis on the front lines. At the end of the day, these numbers can go out as much as we want. We can sit down and deliberate and create funding for these summits. But what is happening on the front lines to our troops and to our people? There were reports coming from the government actually, and some people in the government were saying that the Boko Haram, the terrorists, they have more sophisticated weaponry than us. They're using military drones. And the Minister of Defense was quick to debunk that. He came out and said, no, our weaponry is more sophisticated. They just have more eyes on the ground than us. Doesn't that say that? Are you not inherently admitting that their strategy is better than yours? Why should terrorists have more people, more eyes on the ground than you? But in line with what you said, Mr. Itoma, you know, these figures are startling. 13,000 people, 13,000 terrorists captured by our troops allegedly. But if you do a quick Google search, it shows you that only 1,000 Nigerian people have died at the hands of terrorists. These numbers are not adding up. They're not adding up. And so it makes me wonder about the reporting of these incidents, these numbers. How can you say that we captured 13,000 people, but only 1,000 Nigerian people have died at the hands of terrorists? These numbers are not adding up, and that is very, very worrying. But I do like the fact that we're focusing on what happens on the front lines. National strategy over summit. Right. I completely agree.
Let us look at this Nigeria as well as a similar thing which is reported by Nigerian News Direct, talking about the Labour Party, which is sinking into deeper crisis where you have suspension, counter suspension, and people are asked to also give accountability or give account of their stewardship as regards whether they are corrupt or whatever it is. But this is a party that's supposed to be the messiah, for certain people.
Ibrahim, let me tell you, no political party is a messiah. The political party that's a messiah is the one that's the ruling political party. The opposition right from the beginning of this administration has shown that they don't have teeth to bite, and that's before all this crisis that we're hearing. And now a dog that doesn't have teeth also has stomach ache. that's the way it's looking. It's a whole lot. It's really complex. And for me, I don't know if interested members have to go to court and tell the Supreme Court to really interpret that judgment, or the Supreme Court will take it as a service to Nigerians to interpret that judgment and break it down. Once I said it, that the legalese are just so much when they are reading out judgments.
But I think judges
the clarity
are not
of it.
So well when it comes to using simpler words to read out judgments.
That is relative. What is simple to you might not be simple to the next person. You get what I'm saying? That's why I said, look, use the KISS principle. Keep it short and simple. Let everybody understand what's going on, so the child in secondary school can say, this is what the judgment says. Once there's clarity there, then Julius Abure will know if he is still the chairman of the party or not.
That's right. Veronica.
See, no matter how you keep setting things simple, when it comes to the Nigerian politician, the average Nigerian politician, they will interpret it in their own terms. Because it is about personal interest and the fact that how does this suit me and all. I would not necessarily say that the Supreme Court made the matters complex. It only told them, go back to your constitution, your party constitution, look at what the party constitution says and deal with your issues. It is not left for us to interpret it for you. You have a constitution, read through it, understand it, and address it. And I'm wondering why it's so difficult to understand. Both factions, what they should have done is sit down and look at the party's constitution. What does it say? How do we address this matter? We are a family. Yes, we claim we are a family. So why can't you talk to me?
Yeah, but
why can't
when
you
they brought that to the fore, you know, the Abure faction said they are following due process, that 120 persons are meant to be member of, you know, NEC, and then they have a quorum to take that decision of suspension. So to them, they believe that they are following their constitution.
Of course, that's why I said at the beginning that the average Nigerian politician will interpret things in their own interest at the end of the day. So we find that it is interest that is taking center stage in Labour Party as we speak. No party is the messiah of this party. If you decide that we want to work in the best interest of Nigerians, you will resolve your issues. But when interest supersedes that of the people, then our democracy is being questioned.
Voice of reason should prevail, you think?
Absolutely. I think in terms of this whole, the Supreme Court putting out these complicated judgments and us not understanding it, I think a lot of these people, they benefit from the smoke screens they create. We can't really always tell what's going on. They just blow powder in our faces and they disappear, and we're like, what exactly does this mean? But a quick search on the INEC website will tell you that Abure is still the chairman. I worry that they don't really know what they're doing. This analogy is like almost like two children going to the teacher and saying, who is the class captain? What's going on here? And the teacher saying, go back and sort out yourself. It's all very confusing, but I think there needs to be clarity from this, more clarity from the Supreme Court. And in terms of INEC as well, they need to really, this is their job, they need to intercede and kind of intervene and so they can see what's going on.
Absolutely.
But INEC will tell you that it's the party matter.
It's a party matter.
And they have a constitution and they have internal mechanisms to address all issues. Why are you not using your instruments?
Let's see what happens. You know, 2027 is just around the corner.
And the optics are not good for this. You want a party that is unified, especially coming up in the 2027 elections. These optics are not good for them at all. But
the opposition doesn't want them to unify.
Of course, of course.
All right, so moving on to the Guardian newspaper, as well as the Blueprint, which they talk about the tax reform, which advances as Senate debate closes, retaining VAT at 7.5, and then another leg, they said that it should be led by executive vice chairman, you know, to head the tax reforms, committee. So 10%, talking about VAT, 10% for federal government, 55% for states, and 35% for local government councils. Fair enough, you think?
When I read that headline, the only thing that caught my interest was VAT. VAT is 7.5%. Because because that affects everybody. It affects me, affects you, it affects everybody. I was thinking that if we want to be people-centric, if there's any word like that,
it is.
We will bring VAT down. We should take VAT down. Other countries have lower percentages for their VAT. Why are we still...
But they pay high in some other places.
Other taxes, yes, they do. But for this consumer tax, you know, it's low because it affects the people directly. I'm happy they decided that, look, we are not taking this thing to 10%. Let's leave it at 7.5. I'm happy.
Veronica, quickly.
Oh, well, my joy is that governors or states are getting more money. So moving forward, we shouldn't have the excuse of we cannot pay the minimum wage. And this is where Labour should start speaking now. Don't tell us you cannot pay minimum wage. You are getting more of this 55%.
Even now, they're getting more than times 3 of
they
what
are.
they were used to
I'm saying
getting.
that we are still, the government is looking at how to, give them more monies in the interest of the people. So they should not give excuses anymore, saying we cannot pay 70,000, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. Governors or government subnationals should look inward and see how they can judiciously use these monies in the best interest of their people.
Right.
No more excuse. No
more excuse. Well, because of our time, let us move on to the next paper, which is the Platform Times.
Veronica, you're not having it. I don't want to hear.
Because of our time, so if you look at Platform Times, it says federal government slams Pastor Otti over salt is good sermon. Warns Nigerians of deadly health risks. I don't know how much salt you take when you want to saute your food.
I'll tell you what, I actually love salt. I have a bit of a salt problem, but I think that this is very, very dangerous because you have a populace who doesn't always, because of unfortunately the facilities and the access, healthcare equity, they don't always go and go to hospitals and things like that. So they are looking to their spiritual leaders for advice on matters like health. And so this is dangerous. You have a man who's sitting in the congregation with a high blood pressure, and Chris Otti is sat there and saying salt is good for you. Go home and you do something.
See, let me step in here.
Right.
Let me step in here. High blood pressure medications have a high percentage of salt. Yes, so if those medications have a high percentage of salt, why tell me that salt is bad?
But Thomas, we have to remember that they also put agents in there that kind of block the sodium chloride. There's a balance. There's a chemical symbiosis that comes together that allows that salt
exactly. Not exceed more than 5 grams
The issue there is the message passed to the people. It says salt is bad. Salt is not bad. All right.
Totally
bad. But it's not totally bad. But when you take it raw, that's when it's a little bit dangerous because you have to cook the salt. It has to go through that process. But that you shouldn't have salt in your food at all.
No, the government didn't say you shouldn't have salt in your food at all.
And Chris
Otti saying that salt is good. I do not know where he got the information from, but I know that medical prescription is you should not exceed more than 5 grams in a day because it can lead to
your kidneys.
Yes, the hydration of the kidney, high blood pressure, and so many other problems.
There should be moderation in your consumption of salt. I know there are those who trust their pastors and also those who go to the hospital. Whichever one you want to do, moderation is the
I think that's the best message.
Religious leaders carry the way very strong power, even more than medical experts themselves. So you need to be mindful. Think of the context, the culture, and the habit of people when you are passing such information. It might be much embedded in some of the things that he said, but some people will just run with the headlines. Well, because of our time, let me just quickly touch on one or more headlines on the sports page. Sporting Live, Joshua I's December return. We wait to see our champion. I wanted to say local champion, but it's international. Yes, Anthony Joshua.
Those muscles have an effect on you, isn't it?
That's right. Guys, we need to raise them because of our time. That's about it for the newspapers up for review today.